Welcome. Today is the third video in my series on the PIC32MX250F128B, and I'm going to be going over putting the chip into a breadboard and completing the minimum recommended connection in order to program the device and get it to operate. So everything you see here is everything you're going to need, and it's just a 1K resistor here, so red, black, brown. 10K resistor, orange, black, brown, 4.1 microfarad capacitors that are ceramic. It's important that they are ceramic. Then you're going to need, one thing I messed up in the previous video where I described things that you're going to need to follow along. I forgot to mention that you're going to need just little pieces of wire, and you can get those anywhere. But I should have said maybe look for some sort of kits online. But today I'm going to try and keep with some color coordination to make things easier for you. So green is going to be ground and orange is going to be my VDD. And then you're going to need a few, well, I'm going to be using a few jumper cables. This yellow one, that'll become apparent later, but then this orange is also going to be power, and I'm going to be using that to bridge the two horizontal power rails on my breadboard, and the blue one is going to bridge my my ground rails. And then of course you need the PIC. So let's say you were starting from scratch and you had no idea where to start. The first place you need to look whenever you get a new microcontroller is the data sheet. So if you were to just Google let me get OBS out of the way. If you were to Google the PIC32MX250F128B data sheet, you can find it very easily. It also, if you bought through DigiKey, they have links to the datasheet there. But it's important that when you get a new microcontroller, you read through the datasheet, especially on everything you know you're going to be using. So there's a ton of information about the device in here, what peripherals it has, how to hook it up, pinout. For today's video, the two pieces of information we're going to need are the device pinout and the schematic for the minimum recommended connection. So the pinout can be found on page 5, and here it just breaks down what pins go with, well, what the pins are. So they show the device has the notch at the top, and that's how you know the orientation and what pins correspond to what. So we've got the notch up here, and this first pin on the left would be the master clear pin. And the way this PDF was put together, it throws me off a little bit. I would have preferred to have, see how it's 1 is at the top over here and then 28's at the top over here, but then down, and 1's at the top here, but then 15's at the top over here. I would have probably preferred to have 28 up here, but you can get it without having to twist your head around too much. So that's one piece of information we're going to need, is the pinout, and the other is the minimum recommended connection, which can be found on page 28. And here it is. It's worth reading through this. It says if the USB module is not used, the pin must be connected to VDD, and you can see here that USB 3v3 is shorted to VDD. And then this hard short here between VDD and AVDD, that says you can put an inductor there if you want to. Oh, and then aluminum or electrolytic capacitors should not be used. Make sure all these capacitors are ceramic. Oh, you know what? It looks like I lied, guys. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 capacitors, so maybe I'm forgetting one. But I'll grab another one real quick, and we'll get to it. So, to make things easier for you guys and for myself, I went ahead and compiled those two pieces of information into just a simple drawing here, so we can kind of view both at the same time. So I guess we're going to get started here. Let's scoot that up. Okay, first things first, we're going to be dropping the PIC in. So anywhere will do. There are numbers on these breadboards that make things easier for you, but I always just count down anyway. So go ahead and pop that in. Let me check the focus on this. It looks okay. Hopefully that looks good enough for you guys. Okay, I think the first thing I'm going to start with is this master clear pin over here. So I'm going to need a 1K resistor and a 10K resistor, and then one of our 0.1 microfarad capacitors. And that goes from the okay, let's start with that 1K resistor. That guy's going to go from the master clear pin to some other node. So on the board, I know that the master clear pin is this first pin, and I changed the orientation over here to match what's on the board. The notch is at the left, and you'll notice that on my board I've got the notch on the left. So that makes the master clear pin this first one on the left here. So I'm going to go again with my 1K resistor from that master clear pin to any node on the board. Well, to any unused node. So just drop something, we'll go like this. Okay. And then from that node, I go from that node to VDD with the 10K resistor. So I'm going to plop this guy down. Right. I'm going to leave one space in there for the capacitor, just to make it easy for myself. Get this guy in. Okay. So there we go. And the last element in that little spot, I need to go from that node again to ground with my capacitor. So let me bend this guy real quick. There's something useful, usable. Yeah, you go bigger. Okay. Oh man. And sometimes I struggle with these things. I don't know who doesn't, so if you do, that's alright too. Okay, so I've got the 1K resistor dropped, the 10K resistor dropped, and this 0.1 microfarad capacitor, and those should all be hooked up correctly. Next thing we're going to do is this VSS VDD. You'll notice that I have, well, the second pin from the right is VDD, and the, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th pin from the right is VSS. So I'm going to grab another capacitor. I really hope this video is not going to be too long and drive people nuts. Whenever I'm online and I'm looking up a how-to video and it's over like 10-15 minutes, I'm just like, oh god. But this is kind of a step-by-step thing, so hopefully it won't be too much of a bother. And if it is, just skip forward to the end, feel free. No sense in you wasting your time. So let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 7th and the 2nd. I think that's what I said. Come on, darling. There we go. Let me double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 7 and 2. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That looks good to me. Okay. So that takes care of this guy. Okay, also, it's worth noting that well, I think different pinouts might have different amounts of AVDD and AVSS, different packages, I mean. So make sure you look through this. If you have more than one AVDD pin, I'm not sure if you will or not. I haven't looked through the other pinouts, but make sure you connect all of them. It's important that you do that. Okay, so let's do this next one with a capacitor between AVDD and AVSS. So we look over here. AVDD is pin 28, which is at the left top, and AVSS is right next to it, which is very convenient. So I'm going to bend my capacitor leads a little bit to make this easy. And camera's in the way. I'm going to go pins 1 and 2 up there. Okay. So that takes care of this. Now there is this short, and that's that yellow wire I showed you earlier. I'm not going to do that just yet because it's going to get in the way of the camera, so I'm going to do that last. So don't let me forget. Okay, next, what do we got? VDD and VSS. Okay, so maybe this is why I miscounted. Notice how there's, well, if I got this completely right, which I'm pretty sure I did, there's only one VDD. And I already went from this VDD to this VSS, but I also have this VSS. So one thing we can do is find that VSS, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pin from the right, and well, yeah, we can drop a capacitor there. So let's do that. Let's go between VDD and that, our power rail and that VSS. Oh, and I just bent the capacitor in the wrong way. Okay. Crap, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So between here. Oh, I'm going to skip one, just to make it so I can reach that power rail easier. So, just to double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're good to go. Okay. And so that handles this one. And then now I need to okay, let's do this one. VCAP. So it goes from the VCAP pin to ground. And again, it's oh, it's 10 microfarad. When I hooked this up earlier, I only put a 0.1 microfarad on that, I'm pretty sure. If I put anything at all. Huh. Well, that's embarrassing. Tantalum 10 micro. Sorry, I'm digging through my capacitors right now. I'm pretty sure I don't have a tantalum or ceramic capacitor that big. So, dang, that's a big cap. Well, I guess for this video and for the next few ones. Oh, I know what I did. Yeah, okay. So I know it will work with just a 0.1 microfarad, and all those people who ordered stuff off DigiKey, I'm sorry. And hopefully, if you ordered off Amazon, your kit has a big enough cap for this. But I'm just going to be using a 0.1 microfarad, so I'm off by an order of 100. But that goes from VCAP to VSS, and since this pin is VSS, or it will be, I'm going to just drop the capacitor right there, since these two are adjacent pins, VCAP and VSS right here. So, and then I have another VDD VSS, but since I don't have another set of those on this board, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is go back before I forget and hook up all my powers and grounds. So let's start with this VDD down here in the corner. So I'm going to grab orange, and it's the second pin from the right, and that needs to go to the power rail. So boom. This is a little long. Usually I like to keep all my traces short and kind of flat to the board just because I'm a little OCD, but I think this will work just fine. Okay, next one. Let's see. Let's do AVDD. So up here, this top pin. From my power. Oh man. That's what I get for having old wire. Everything's all bent. That'll work. Goes in the top. Okay. And my last one. Oh yeah, my last one. Keep in mind this USB 3v3, it needs to get shorted to VDD. So I'm gonna run straight to the rail. And I think that's only for when it's not in use, which right now I'm not using it, but in the future we might. So let's see, it is the, let's go from the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the left. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's on this 30. We're going from power right to it. Double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 30 is 6. Okay. Let's do our grounds now. So we've got this VSS down here, which what did we say it was 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from the right. Grab a right here, and it's also previously where that cap went, so it's right here. We know that one. Don't have to count it out, but you can, probably should. Okay, and I have one on the opposite side over here, VSS, and it's the right side of this cap, and it's also, I went another cap from VDD, the rail, to that VSS pin. So I'm gonna drop. Oh, and I didn't give myself a good, oh, pop that out. I didn't give myself good access to the node, so I'm gonna bend this wire real quick. It bit me in the end, didn't it? And you know what? I'm gonna scoot this back just so I can get in there easier. So this is the cap from power to VSS. Ugh. I like that back of the hand shot there. It's great, isn't it? Okay, and then now this is the actual VSS supply. Man. Go on in. There we go. Okay, so just to double check, I got a cap going from power to that node, a cap going from VCAP, this should really be a 10 micro, not a 0.1 micro, and then the VSS coming in from the rail. Okay, square that up. And then oh yeah, AVSS up here. So it's the second pin from the left. I'm gonna drop this. My last AVSS is huge. The lead for it. So that's going there. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and hopefully you guys will be able to see this. I'm gonna connect. Well, I'm gonna bridge my top power rail to my bottom power rail, and same for my grounds. some nice big jumpers. Okay, and then the last thing I have is that yellow wire, and that guy, remember, is this short between AVDD and VDD. Technically they're shorted through the rails right now, but just because they said you can put an inductor there, I'm going to put the wire just to make it obvious. Granted, this might annoy me in future videos, and if it does, I might remove it, but I'm going to put it in today. So, and I'm going to this power. So that's that short between VDD and AVDD. Okay, so this is the minimum connection, and hopefully I hooked it up right. If I didn't, well, I'm going to go test it right now. If I didn't, you won't ever see this video, so don't worry about it. But that's it for today. The next video I'm going to go through hooking up the PIC Kit 3. This is really only half of the board because obviously it can't do anything right now by itself. So next video I'm going to go through the PIC Kit 3 connections and how to test if we've hooked it up right. So thanks.